You know that feeling when you first get a corporate credit card? It is like absolute magic. You're swiping for client coffees, you're upgrading your software subscriptions without a second thought, and you feel like you just have this in, infinite well of resources at your fingertips.
Oh, yeah. There is definitely an initial euphoric phase where the budget just feels entirely abstract.
Totally.
You aren't thinking about the accounting at all. You're just
Right.
focused on moving faster, removing friction. It really feels like you've unlocked cheat codes for your job.
But then, inevitably, day 30 hits. And you get that polite but very firm email from the finance department asking to review some recent line items.
A honeymoon abruptly ends.
Yeah, exactly. The honeymoon ends, and that collision between infinite possibility and the sudden realization that someone, somewhere, actually has to pay the bill, that is exactly where the tech industry is sitting right now with AI. So, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're taking a stack of developer blogs, tech updates, and industry insights, and we are unpacking a massive paradigm shift because we are watching the wild, hyped-up era of AI coding agents crash headfirst into the very rigid, unforgiving realities of enterprise environments.
It's a really fascinating transition to witness, honestly. I mean, we are moving from this experimental playground into a mature ecosystem where companies are realizing that smart just isn't enough anymore.
Right.
The AI has to be sustainable, deeply integrated, and above all, secure.
And I want to set the tone right out of the gate here. Even if you don't write software for a living, stick with us.
Oh, absolutely. This affects everyone.
Because understanding how the biggest tech companies in the world are wrangling these autonomous agents right now, it's really a masterclass in how all of our workflows are about to change.
Yeah, the ripple effects are going to be huge.
So, to start, we have to follow the money. We are seeing AI coding costs rapidly escalate from a theoretical concern into a massive, immediate crisis. I was looking through the updates, and Cursor, which, if you don't know, is a hugely popular AI code editor, they recently had to cut their prices and introduce very specific enterprise spend controls.
Right, they had to step in.
Yeah. And then Simon Willison, a prominent developer and researcher, he highlighted that major companies like Uber are now actively capping the usage of advanced tools like Claude Code, just simply to manage these spiraling costs.
And Uber is not a company known for being shy about tech spending.
Exactly. If Uber is hitting the brakes, it's serious.
Is this the end of the honeymoon phase for AI coding where we have to stop playing and start paying?
It is serious, yeah. And it's a direct result of how these agents operate compared to, like, traditional tools. When an engineer uses an autonomous coding agent, they aren't just sending a subtle query and getting an answer back.
Right, it's not just a Google search. Exactly. These agents run in continuous loops. They read thousands of lines of your code base, they generate a solution, they run a test, realize the test failed, read the error logs, and then rewrite the code to try again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, they can iterate dozens of times in a matter of minutes.
And every single one of those steps burns compute.
Precisely. That autonomous looping is the hidden drain here because, a fraction of a cent per action really doesn't sound intimidating until an agent gets stuck in a recursive loop trying to debug a complex legacy system at 2 in the morning.
Just churning through tokens?
Right, burning through massive token budgets while the human developer is sound asleep. So those controls Cursor put in, they aren't a step backward. They're really the first necessary step towards sustainable use.
It's kind of like running the central air conditioning in your house with all the windows wide open.
That is a perfect analogy.
Like, it feels amazing in the moment. The breeze is great. The developers are thrilled because the AI is grinding through all the boring boilerplate work in the background. But then the enterprise utility bill arrives at the end of the month, and the CFO is having a heart attack.
Yeah, the CFO is suddenly very interested in your development workflow. And it forces a completely different conversation at the executive level. We're shifting from experimental novelty to hard ROI.
Return on investment, right?
Right. When a tool is cheap, you let your team use it to solve trivial problems. But when a tool becomes a massive, volatile line item on a corporate budget, you have to ask a much harder question.
Which is?
Is the value this agent is generating actually greater than the cost of its thought process?
Wow, budgeting for machine thought, that is wild. But, I mean, whether you are managing a massive global enterprise team right now or just running a weekend side project, you really have to fundamentally change your mental model. Compute is no longer a background service. It is a premium resource that you have to provision and monitor, just like a piece of hardware.
Yeah, and that naturally creates a ripple effect across the entire industry. Because if you are putting a hard cap on these token budgets, The AI has to aggressively prove its worth.
It can't just be a neat trick anymore.
Exactly.
If I am paying premium rates for this agent, I am not going to use it as a glorified side window chatbot just to ask, how to center a div on a web page.
Right. You need it doing real work.
Yeah, it has to do the heavy lifting in a production environment to justify its existence on the payroll. And that pressure, it's forcing a massive evolution in where these tools actually live.
Oh, absolutely. They're moving out of the browser and into the IDE.
Right. GitHub Copilot, for example, is officially moving toward what they call an agent-native desktop experience. Meanwhile, we have OpenAI showcasing how a global tech firm called Endava is completely redesigning their software delivery workflows around AI agents.
That Endava case study is
It
fascinating.
really is. But before we dig into how Endava is doing that, I have to bring up a term that has been floating around these updates, and I want to push back on it a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
Vibe coding.
Yeah.
I see developers talking about vibe coding as the new frontier, but to me, honestly, it sounds like lighting a scented candle, putting on some lo-fi hip-hop beats, typing "make a cool app" into a prompt, and just hoping for the best. I mean, is vibe coding really just a polite, trendy term for sloppy guess and check development?
That is a very fair critique. I mean, vibe coding is the colloquial term for moving away from deterministic syntax and relying instead on probabilistic intent.
Okay, translate that for me.
So the developer describes the vibe saying, build me a login screen that looks modern, uses oath, and connects to our user database.
Yeah.
And the AI just generates it.
Like magic.
Right. And then the developer nudges the output saying, no, make it more robust, add a loading state, and the AI iterates. It is incredibly fast, but you are completely right to be skeptical. It is inherently messy.
Because you aren't actually planning anything.
Exactly. It relies heavily on the AI's internal assumptions, and it completely bypasses the rigorous architectural planning of traditional software engineering.
So an enterprise bank application cannot be built on vibes.
No, it really cannot. And that is exactly where a tool like Microsoft's Rayfin comes into play.
Right, I saw Rayfin in the notes. It's being framed as the bridge between that casual, messy vibe coding and actual rigorous enterprise production, right?
Yes.
So how does that mechanically work? Like, how does Rayfin take my scented candle guess and check session and turn it into reliable code?
It acts as a deterministic wrapper around the probabilistic model.
Okay.
Meaning, instead of just taking your natural language prompt and blindly generating code, Rayfin intercepts the intent. It maps your request against the enterprise's established Git repositories, its specific design systems, and its mandatory architectural patterns.
Oh, I see.
So if the vibe prompt asks for a database connection, Rayfin enforces the rule that the AI must use the company's specific, secure API gateway. It prevents it from just hallucinating some generic connection string.
So it's like the adult in the room.
Exactly. It restricts the AI's output space so the generated code is structurally sound before it ever compiles.
Okay, that makes total sense. It takes the speed of vibe coding, but forces it to obey the laws of physics of your specific enterprise.
Right. You get the best of both worlds.
And it ties perfectly into what GitHub is doing by pushing Copilot into an agent-native desktop experience. It's moving the AI out of the vacuum of a chat window.
And that deep integration is key. I mean, an agent-native experience means the AI co-inhabits your workspace. It can read your file system, it analyzes your terminal history, it understands your environment variables.
It actually knows what you're working on.
Exactly. It has the context of the entire project, not just the single file you happen to have open on your screen.
And that level of context, that's how Endava is managing to flatten their traditional silos, right? Because OpenAI's showcase on them was fascinating. They aren't just giving codecs to their senior software engineers. They are redesigning the entire delivery process so that everyone interacts with the agent.
Yes, Endava is using the agent as a shared translation layer across completely different roles.
Okay, walk me through that.
Well, in a traditional silo, right, a product manager writes requirement document. They hand it to a developer who writes the code. And then the developer hands it to a QA tester who writes the tests. It's very linear.
Classic waterfall bottleneck.
Right. But Endava is bringing the agent right into the middle of that workflow. So the product manager can use the agent to instantly translate a JIRA ticket into a testing framework for QA.
Wait, effectively bypassing the developer entirely for those boilerplate tasks?
Yes. The AI becomes the connective tissue. It understands the context of the PM, the developer, and the tester simultaneously.
Wow. If you're used to treating AI like a smart search engine, I mean, prepare for a paradigm shift. We are turning AI from a chat window into an active collaborator that touches every part of a cross-functional workflow.
It really is a whole new way of working.
But if I follow the logic here, this creates a massive problem.
The security implication.
Yes. If we're giving these highly expensive agents deep, native access to our desktops, our file systems, and our cross-role workflows, and we're doing it while developers are relying on probabilistic vibes rather than line-by-line review,
Yeah, it's scary.
we are handing the keys to the castle to a statistical guessing machine.
We are opening up a terrifying vulnerability footprint.
And the alarm bells are definitely ringing in the developer community. Stack Overflow is raising major alarms about security in this new era. They're specifically looking at the risks through an OWASP lens.
Right, the Open Worldwide Application Security Project.
Exactly. And the core issue here isn't that the AI is malicious, right? It's that traditional OWASP frameworks are designed to catch human logic flaws, but AI introduces a completely different threat vector.
It does. I mean, when a human engineer builds a login system, a security reviewer looks for known blind spots. Like, did the engineer forget to sanitize the input to prevent a SQL injection?
A classic human error.
Exactly. But when an AI generates that same login system based on a vibe, it might write code that looks structurally immaculate, but conceptually it might bypass the sanitization entirely just to get the visual output to match the prompt faster.
Oh, wow. So it's not even a mistake. It's just cutting corners in ways a human never would.
Right. The threat vector isn't bad syntax. It's competent hallucinations that introduce gating security holes no human ever actually looked at.
Because the code compiles, the app runs, the visual vibe is perfect, but underneath, the foundation is basically made of sand.
Exactly.
So, okay, if we can't afford to stop using these tools because of the productivity gains, but we also can't afford a massive security breach, how do companies actually secure the agent era?
Well, this brings us to a highly practical technical standard that's emerging from the front lines right now. When using powerful autonomous tools like Claude Code, enterprise teams are moving to a zero-trust model.
Okay.
And it's built around something called an investigation-only budget.
I love this concept.
It's crucial. Basically, you never, under any circumstances, give the agent permission to edit your code base on its first pass.
Yeah, this concept of the investigation-only budget might be the most valuable takeaway from this entire stack of research for me. To me, it sounds exactly like hiring a contractor to renovate your house.
How so?
Like, you give them a budget to come in, survey the foundation, measure the walls, and draw up the blueprints. But you absolutely do not hand them a sledgehammer until you have personally reviewed and approved that blueprint.
That is the exact dynamic. Perfect analogy.
Right.
In an enterprise CI/CD pipeline, you separate the planning phase from the executing phase. So you give the Claude agent a limited token allocation, that's the investigation budget.
And just looks around.
Yes, you grant it read-only access. You can run grep commands. You can read error logs. It analyzes the repository. But the agent's only output is a markdown document proposing a fix. It physically cannot write to the main branch.
So no sledgehammers on the first date.
Never. The human engineer then reviews that proposed blueprint. They check the logic against those OWASP standards we mentioned.
Right.
They ensure it aligns with the enterprise architecture, and they verify it isn't hallucinating some wild vulnerability.
And then what?
Only after the human signs off do they approve a second token allocation.
The execution budget.
Exactly. The execution budget gives the AI the necessary permissions to actually implement those specific changes.
That is such an elegant solution because it solves both problems at once, doesn't it?
It really does.
You put a hard cap on the token burn rate so the agent can't get stuck in that endless expensive loop at 2 a.m.
Yes.
And you maintain a strict security guardrail. And if you think about it, this applies to so much more than just software engineering. If you are listening right now and using an AI agent to write financial reports or parse legal precedents or organize your company's data, you have to adopt this zero-trust mindset.
Completely agree.
Force the AI to show you its work. Demand the read-only blueprint before you give it permission to execute. You get the incredible speed of machine thought, but you maintain absolute human authority.
It really is the only sustainable way to operate in this new environment.
Okay, let's take a step back and look at the trajectory we've charted today. We started with the harsh reality of the token toll, the sheer cost of autonomous compute that forced Uber and Cursor to implement strict limits.
Right.
Because that compute is so expensive, it has to prove its ROI, which is driving the push for deep, native integration. We're moving past chatbots into agent-native desktops, with tools like Microsoft Rayfin enforcing enterprise rules on chaotic vibe coding.
And Indaba flattening out those cross-functional silos.
Exactly. And finally, that deep integration necessitates a massive upgrade in security protocols, relying on read-only investigation budgets to prevent catastrophic vulnerabilities.
If we take all of these moving parts, the rigid cost controls, the workflow integration, and this new reliance on investigation blueprints,
Yeah.
if we project them forward, it raises a really provocative thought about the future of our jobs.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where do you see this heading?
Well, as these tools become fully agent native and embed themselves across every single department, and as we rely more heavily on these investigation budgets for security, we might rapidly reach a point where humans aren't actually doing the work anymore, not even vibe coding.
Wait, really? We just stop creating altogether?
We shift our role entirely. Instead of being creators, humans will simply be financial and security approvers.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. Our entire job, whether you're in software, law, finance, or design, might become sitting at the top of the workflow, reviewing the detailed investigation budgets submitted by fleets of AI agents.
So the AI is the one doing all the heavy lifting.
The AI will do the planning, the analyzing, and the building. We will just analyze the cost-benefit of their proposed blueprints and click approve or deny before they go off and build the future themselves.
We all basically just become the finance department.
Pretty much.
We go from being the euphoric creators with the infinite corporate credit card to the CFOs sending the polite but firm emails, managing the budget of machine thought. What a massive fundamental shift in how we work.
It really is.
Well, thank you for taking this deep dive with us today. Keep questioning the tools you use, keep an eye on your token budgets, and demand the blueprint before you hand over the sledgehammer. We will catch you on the next one.